Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Reality Check Podcast. I am your host, LANCESCURV. I want to thank everyone for their condolences and well wishes for the passing of Mrs. SCURV's father, my father-in-law. And like I said, it was something that wasn't a surprise. He had his health up until 84 years old. And for a couple of weeks, things took the turn for the worse with the little issues he was dealing with. So it wasn't unexpected. And as we look back on his life, I have to say that he was a wonderful man. And this is not just the kind of thing that we say just to be nice. Nobody's perfect, and things have happened in life. But when you go to the scorecards, it's like synchronized swimming. You know, in synchronized swimming, you have the high score and the low score. Now, I'm not sure if it's 5 judges or 7 judges, but let's just say it's 7 judges. And you have the high score, let's say from 1 to 100. I'm not sure what it is, if it's 1 to 10 or 1 to 100. Let's just say it's 1 to 10. And the high score is 10. And the low score is 5. But then you have a couple of other 10s and a 9 in the middle. So what do? You take away the high score, you take away the low score, and you average out what's in the middle. And looking back on his life by those who are survived, you know, the stories I hear, the good things I hear, a couple little glitches I hear, I'd have to say he won. Now, you're always going to have someone that comes out for their own reasons that's just a straight oddball to say things against the good stuff. But from what I could see in his spirit and the way we got along and the things he told me, the moments that we share, although there weren't as many as I wished, because back in Orlando and back in Florida, you know, we wish we could hang out more. We could spend more time. But the times that he would come to the house and spend a couple weeks and, you know, we'd watch the news, and he loved watching the news. And, you know, with my radical self, I'm going to explain a few extra things in a way that he could understand. And he did. And we all got along just well. And I have to say that when you have an in-law, you know, a father-in-law, mother-in-law, but we're speaking about him now, I have to say that I'm very blessed to have crossed paths with him and to have had his energy transferred over to me. And the ceremony is in a couple days. And like I said, I'm blessed because of that. And I want to thank you for those who wrote it down or those who sent text messages. Too many to really shout out here. You know who you are. In the public chat room, I see Indigo King and I see Synovia, and there's so many other names there. So moving along, I just want to say that miracles do happen. And I can't really say specifically what it is because it's not a private thing, but I like to move around on the radar, like covertly, okay? So if I was to say exactly what it was, it would reveal a lot more things. I'll speak about it in detail another month or two. It's all good. But there was a transaction that had to be done. Me and Mr. SCURV had to do this transaction. I'm trying to say it in a coded way, so it's going to sound funny. So all was well. The first leg of the transaction went well. But we had to go to another part of that area to let things go further. Okay? It was going to be no problem. So as soon as we went to the window where the young lady was, you could see that she was going to be a hard time or give us a hard time. So went up and spoke politely and spoke about what had to be done to move on to the next step of that transaction. And as soon as I opened my mouth, it was almost as though she just nodded her head left and right, back and forth, left and right. And it was like, wait a second, you know, I'm here to do something. You know, maybe you can try to help us, or you here. In my mind, I'm thinking, are you here to help us or just come against us, right? Now, when I speak about living in Ghana, I speak about all the good things, but there are people that will see you on sight and not like you. Thank the Creator that that's far and few between. That is not the usual credo of the Ghanaian people, but we have them here. And to explain that deeper, some that are here look at us as Black people coming from America who have a connection here and think that, oh, look at them. They have it so easy. I'm suffering here in this job, paying low, and they're making all this money. They have all this money, which is the furthest thing from the truth. We made good moves here, but it's not like we're rich. It's not like we're wealthy. But one day we will be, and I'm not going to apologize for that. We always have to think positive and make your plan. But being from where we are, there are so many obstacles and so many things that we've had, hoops we've had to jump through, that when we walk in a normal space, the average day, we walk with confidence. You know, and even though I have to deal with the racism and the system that tries to hold us back, and our own people who we're going to talk about today, who move in a way that makes the oppressive forces of the world feel good. Well, back to the story. It's just a short one. So Mr. SCURV and I walked away. We said, listen, how are we going to get to the next step of this if we can't get past this lady? So I said, listen, let's just kick back and grab something to eat. We'll figure it out. So after about 30 minutes, because the window of opportunity for this transaction was closing soon, and it would have given it to us where we took a hit. So I said, well, listen, let me finish up this meal. She said, no. Let me go down close by and see if I can give it one more shot. I have an idea from someone from the States. So we went down, she went down to the window, and it was going toward the window, didn't even get a chance to speak to the woman. The original lady came up. She said, wait a second. You guys are still here? Now, I was upstairs, but she said it that way. You guys are still here? You should have been through this particular area and back over to me so I can process everything and push it on through. And so Mr. SCURV started to explain why the other woman had such an evil face. She said, listen, don't pay her any mind. You come with me. I'm on my way home. It's a miracle that you decided to come back down to the window and I decided to walk this way. And I'm like, wow, when I heard it. So she came upstairs and we had to go back and take care of things. Everything went through smooth. You see that? If Mr. SCURV didn't walk back downstairs to that window to try to figure a way out to get to the next level of that transaction, and that woman didn't decide to walk that way at that particular second, what if it was 10 seconds earlier or 10 seconds later, we wouldn't have had that help. So what I'm saying is that no matter how bleak things look, you still must move forward. No matter how bad things look, you still must move forward, because if you're truly living a righteous life, and we're not talking about anything religious based, but in your heart, you can live a righteous life and that morning have given somebody the finger on the highway for cutting you off. It doesn't mean you're not going to be granted, how could I say it? Amenities that help you move ahead. We're human, y'all. Fellas, it doesn't mean when you look in that rearview mirror to look at that woman's backside that you're a creep. You're a man. You have testosterone. Treat your sisters fair, but the beauty is just so overwhelming sometimes, and I do understand that. But we have some people out here who are just so based in venom toward their own people, not even to give them a chance. And we have so many people who are beautiful people, nice people, positive people. And it doesn't necessarily mean that because the actual visual that I put here means that all the bad people are hood-minded people, all the bad people live in the downtrodden areas. It doesn't mean that, because I've seen people and met people and known people who live in some very good areas, very secure areas, very affluent areas that look like us, and they will call the cops on you just as fast for walking through their community. They would. So it doesn't matter where. But like the title says, if we knew who we really were, we wouldn't act the way we do. The title would have been a little longer if I had my way. It would have read the same way. If we really knew who we really were, we wouldn't act the way we do toward each other. There's only but so many characters that you can put in the title, so that's the one that finishes it off, toward each other. We are our biggest enemies, and I'm just so tired of saying it. I just want to give a little word to those who are positive, who are unified. I'm not going to go and do the usual rant that most do, and I have done many times in the past, where I say, oh, yeah, well, we our biggest enemies. Oh, we need to wake up. Oh, that is falling on deaf ears. Most of us, sadly, are not going to wake up. It feels good in those sheets of ignorance, in the bed of decadence. Oh, boy. You hit the snooze button and it doesn't bother you again, and you can just live the way you want to live. But sure, that's your choice. But you know what? Don't be mad at someone who wanted to visit or leave the comfort zone a little bit more than you, to get into discipline, to put themselves into an area that's not comfortable, of the unknown, in order to grow. But since you don't know, and I'm speaking to those who act a fool toward each other and want to stop others from achieving because you don't feel as though you could achieve, we can't F with you. We can't see you and give you a pass because you have darker skin, melanated skin, so it's all right, brother. Let's let you on in. You see, that's our problem. What is his name now? Dillian Roof? Is that his name? The white boy that came into the church there? What was it, South Carolina, North Carolina? One of the Carolinas. They let him on in. They let death on in. And if that church and the people there, I'm not saying they are, acted like the typical low-minded Negro, and that Dillian Roof was a black man, they'd be alive today, because they wouldn't have let that nigga on in. Because that's how we do each other. But you know, white flesh gets a pass everywhere. But we're not talking about them, because we know that. And some of the biggest coons will put them over us. But then again, some of the biggest coons are our worst enemies. So right now, I'm at a point in my life where I've told many people before, this coming April 8th, I'm 59 years old. That's my preparation for 60. And between 60 and 70, creator willing, if I'm granted that, I'm going to put down some of the hardest work every single day until I need to back up for a day or two. And the only reason for the last few days that we backed up from stuff, I was a little exhausted, and we had to deal with the situation of the passing of my father-in-law. So I'm back, and we're going to make up for what I lost these last few days for the rest of the month, because it's not a short month like February. But that's the thing. I plan on doing this. It's my burning desire, and I'm not going to let anybody stop me. There are things that I've decided to do in projections that go over and above anything that I thought about doing, but you don't know until you get there. You know, you can only imagine what the top of the mountain feels like, being on the top of the mountain and the view that comes from the top of the mountain. You could only imagine. And even in your imagination, you can't get it right. Somebody can go to the top of the mountain and show you a video of what it looks like. And you say, whoa, especially if you have one of them huge TVs. That's so clear. But it still can't compare to climbing the mountain and seeing the view for yourself. Because see, that view is something that you've got to earn. Sure, we can see it on YouTube. Sure, we can see it on the television set. But it's something that you have to earn. You can't just float up on the mountain. And even if you did have some kind of contraption to fly you up to the top of the mountain, it's not going to be as sweet because your legs ain't aching from earning it. And this is the problem with us. We know what has happened to us in America and all over the world. We know this. But I'm not going to say like white folks say, oh, just get over it. but you can't lay down and expect the one who has oppressed you to hand you something. You can't lay down and just say, well, I'm going to wait on reparations so I can start living life. Well, you might as well jump in the coffin right about now. Yes, we are old. Yes, we are. But understand, everybody else is going to get before we get. So we have to use what we have from the inside to get what we want. That's a law. I don't know what to call it. I can say it that way. It's the law of using what you have to get what you need and what you want. And so many of us don't want to get out of that line of what we're owed to do for ourselves. And I feel that if we do for ourselves, that will come through. And that right now might be the worst thing that happened to us. Imagine if those of us who are not motivated got reparations. Will it really do us good? I've said it before. That Italian man that owns the car dealership, he's going to love that reparation money. The mall and all the shops in it, they're going to love that reparation money. The Koreans and those who have the nail salons and the hair that they sell, oh man, they're going to have their best month yet because we're so misdirected in what we need to do because we're not truly unified. So for those of us who are down for the plan and down for the unification, what do? We look to each other who have that same mindset. All is not done. I'm not going to waste my time talking about do-nothing black folks that don't want to change and don't want to strive, or they talk it, but when it comes time to doing it, they start spreading the venom. Well, I don't know. I don't trust this thing, man. I think he getting some kind of extra money. You know, I'm backing out of this, man. How you feel? You know, we start talking and we start tearing the very thing down. So I'm always one for unifying, but each and every one of us who have the mentality to forge forward, we have to be prepared to do it by yourself. We're not made to do it that way. It would be better if all of us could unify. But how are we going to do it with a whack mind, a jacked up mindset, a mind that is not even, I can't even say ready. It's not even made for that. You can't make a unified black force with a European mind. It can't work because the European is warlike. He goes for himself. You got to understand this. We're communal people, but we're not able to be all the way communal because we're poisoned with this thing that we've been in for so long, this mindset, the politics and the religion and emulating what they do. And now we're so messed up and we want to unify. Listen, you can't sit down to the dinner table and eat something when you came home from work, and yeah, you earning money for the house, but you got to take your backside in that shower and wash up before you sit down to the table. You can't have kids out there playing and dirty. It's a Saturday, there was no school. They come in with their hands dirty, all sweaty. No, before you sit down at the table, you got to get cleaned up. So before we sit down at the table of unification, we got to be cleaned up. And there's too many of us that are dirty in our mind, in our spirit, in our intentions, and we can't let go. That's the problem with us. We can't let go. We can't let go of master's ways. And we try to say certain things, or, well, that's African culture. You know, I want to go to the motherland, man, and love the sisters. I heard you can go to Ghana and have 5 wives. 5 wives? You think just for sex? They laying around with European garb on, garter belts and stockings and stiletto heels, laying in the bed, smiling, just waiting for you to jump on in, Negro? You think it's like that? It's not about that. You can't have that many if you can't take care of them. And even if you had the money to take care of them, let's be real. If you got 5 women who are fertile, one of them is getting ready to get on their period. One of them is just coming off. Two of them might be on it, and one might not be on it. Boy, you got a lot of emotions flowing in. Our sisters are strong and they're mighty, but let's not think of things like that with a European mind. And how the hell are you going to handle 5 when you can't even handle the one you got? You can't even handle the one you got who got somebody. All of these weird morphed up relationships you have, and you're not clean to sit down at the dinner table. So how are you going to deal with a woman? If we knew who we really were, we wouldn't act the way that we do toward each other. If we knew that we are a blessed people, and we're people melanated of the planet, but we're arguing over man-made boundaries. Over here in the motherland, oh, I'm Ghanaian and you're Nigerian. I can't trust you because you're a thief. You're going to scam me. And then you got some Nigerians who don't fall under the whole stereotype, but they got to feel it. And you have some who do and who are. You got to take each person on an individual basis. But at this point in time in your life, with the people that you know, you pretty much know who you know. You pretty much know. Let's take an example. I always say this as a compliment. There's 10 seats on a spaceship that will take us to another black planet, because this planet is going to blow up in 24 hours. And who are you going to give those seats to? Even if it was 50 seats that you had to give out, including your family, who would you give it to? Who would you leave behind? Now you got to make a real conscious decision now. But see, the thing is that these are decisions that we should be making now. Because if you're thinking about starting a business, you can't bring everybody with you. If you're thinking about a new project and you need some helping hands that you will compensate, you can't bring everybody with you. Are you going to bring freeloaders to the new planet that you're going to go on so they can continue to freeload and procreate and make more freeloaders who don't want to pull their weight? No, you don't want to do that. Now, I'm not trying to be like Hitler and make some supreme race and just take the creme de la creme and no. But let people deal with what they earn. You don't earn, you don't put out the effort, you don't eat. That's not your problem. And too many of us who have wonderful, mighty, great visions have piddled away our time because we're considering everybody. We're going to open a restaurant and we're going to go to the niggers on the corner and we're going to give them all jobs. We're going to go and clean up the neighborhood and do our part because I'm righteous. We believe in our people. Them people ain't your people. They're melanated. They have the same bloodline, but mentally they don't have, you're not the same. Like Chuck D said, every brother ain't a brother. And to extend it, every sister ain't a sister. I was taking a walk last night, coming from the spot. Not any bad spot. It was legitimate. I was out there legitimately okay. And I'm walking down the street by myself. I guess I had a certain look on my face, whatever. But the women in passing were so friendly. But I can see that it wasn't really just about being friendly and speaking. They're trying to start conversations. And I realized what area I was in. It was a somewhat affluent area, but these young ladies were working. So they thought I was an American tourist. Good evening, handsome. How are you? Handsome? I mean, I know I don't look my age, but I don't look the way I did 40 years ago. I'm not that souped up on myself to believe what people say. I'm humble at this age. I did what I did. I'm not looking for anything. And one after the other, and I realized how revealing some of the outfits were, not as much as they do in the States, but all this eye contact, dark street, you walk, where are you going? So I realized what it was. So even some, not all, come on now, some, not all. If you don't hear this part and you come at me with something in the comment section later on, I'm going to have to smash you. I am not saying all of my sisters, but there are some who we cannot trust. They're not coming at us the right way. Sisters, all the brothers that come at you, they may not be coming at you the right way. Some. And many of you who may not like the brother Kevin Samuels, one thing that I went and fact checked behind them, that all of our brothers are not locked up and in jail. We got to stop that narrative. But that doesn't mean, sisters, that because of that you can just let them right on in. We've got to vet everybody that we have around us. We can't just, because of the good talk, I am very spiritual, and you let them on in, oh, I got a spiritual man. He's only acting spiritual when he calls out the Lord's name, when he's right on through heaven's gates, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. For those of you who are Christian women, your man is crying out for Jesus. Or hell, the way you've thrown it up, I'd cry for Jesus too. Feeling so good. Motivations, secret motivations and hidden agendas. Don't we understand what that is? Don't we understand how complicated life can be sometimes? The motivations, how do these people see me? I'm talking about our own people. They know how to talk when they size us up. Sisters, some of these shysters will tell you some of the sweetest things and it sounds so good. You're walking around with a broken heart or maybe yearning for companionship and nothing else. Or even saying, well, you know, I wish I had this something else, but I need the companionship and commitment first. Ain't nothing wrong with being aroused, but don't let that make you get caught up in something that's going to wreck your life. Because it can come gentle. You know how it is. Have you ever had a whole set of dominoes and stacked them up on the short side next to each other so you can hit one and it hits the other one? And for the split second, you get this sensation like, wow, and it's done, and you got to build it on back up again. Well, how many of us have had our lives knocked down because of a bad relationship? Or one that may not have been bad, but just we weren't compatible with each other, but we spent time. You know, you spend a year and a half with somebody when you're 21. 28, you spend 3-4 years with them. This next person, you get in your 30s. Relationships can last a little longer, but you don't even know yourself yet to know what it is that what you need. A lot of us are getting into things because of reaction. We are reacting. We're scared of being alone and loneliness. You're never alone, only if you're cut off from yourself. You have you with you 24 hours a day. What do you mean you're alone? You're dismissing yourself like that, like you're nothing? So you're telling me you're nothing? You can't crack a joke to yourself. You can't ask yourself what you want off the restaurant menu. You can't say to yourself, hey, let's take a walk today. Let's meditate today. Let's get deep in our thoughts to see what we want to do in life. But too many of us grab on to anything. I always told the joke that if I was in the water drowning and a homosexual threw me the rope, or before he threw me the rope, Lance, you're drowning. I'll save you, but you got to promise me. What? You gonna let me suck your dick? Sure. You think when he pulls me up on safe land, I'm going to let him do that? I'm going to tell him whatever he wants to hear so I can get up out of that situation and save my life. I'm not that stupid. I don't do that. But look what we do to ourselves. We lie to ourselves because we don't want to be alone. So we just hitch up with any old kind of thing and then realize when we're in it that it ain't good for us, but how the hell are we going to get out of it? We make so many mistakes because we don't know who we really are, whether it's dealing with other people or dealing with ourselves. And really, once you master yourself, dealing with the people is child's play. Trust and believe that. Once you're covered yourself and you know yourself and understand you're evolving every day, so you're going to know a little bit more about yourself with each passing day. But too many times we get caught up in what the world says we should be, and we pursue that and forget our true selves. I'm not against my sisters adorning themselves within reason. There's nothing wrong with that, unless you get so caught up in that. And I don't mean adorning yourself by getting a fake butt, fake breast, whatever. If you put a little eyeliner on, a little lip gloss on, a little makeup on sometime, whatever, do your hair, whatever way you want to do it. Let's try to get away from that relaxing cream because that's a signal for something else going on inside our head. But I have no problem because how we're raised. But you're beautiful as you are out the box. And this system has made you feel as though you're not beautiful. And I mean real beautiful. I'm not talking about lust beautiful. Come on, fellas. You know how you have that young lady who you're kind of hanging around each other a lot. Maybe it's a job or some type of proximity where you live. You hanging out. You're not thinking about her that way. But she keeps hanging around you and you're like, hey, it's that 3 o'clock in the morning feeling. She don't look too bad. You wasn't looking at her that way. She wasn't even your type, but you kept hanging around her and all of a sudden things happen. That's how that works. So we're not talking about lust beauty. We're talking about the beauty, not the booty beauty. But that quality when you can see their warmth and their love and their kindness and the character from within. And that real beauty, no matter what their facial features look like. It may be something that the European magazine covers will say, we're not going to cover anything looking that ugly and black. It doesn't matter because when she has those qualities, boy, she looks beautiful more than any so-called Caucasian beauty queen is projected to be. For those who still use that as a standard, as substandard. Let me tell you something. I'm going to start politely asking a lot of our sisters here in Ghana. There is one right now, someone who works there new, and I just went there to fill up on some water for cooking and for drinking. And she had no makeup on. She had regular clothes on. She wasn't trying to wear anything tight or anything, but she was very much a specimen. On my magazine, symbolically, she'd be on the cover. She had a look to her that was totally African and beautiful. The teeth, the skin, the eyes, the neck, the jawline, the cheekbones, the shape. And again, I'm not looking at this woman in a lustful way. You see what I mean? I'm like that mechanic who's been working on cars all my life. And I've dealt with all types of vehicles, so I don't get crazy when a Jaguar comes in because I've worked on Jaguars. I've worked on Mercedes. I've worked in Aston Martins and Bentleys. But I can see it for what it is. This is a very beautiful vehicle. And she was drop dead gorgeous. But some of us as men would not even notice it because she wasn't trying in that other way. And I could only imagine if us brothers would appreciate our sisters like that, not just for the physical, but for what you see on the inside, because the way she dealt with people, she had patience, she had a smile. There was some frustrating situations where the person added up what they owed different from what she added up, and they got upset and she held her head. I was like, wow, look at that patience that she has, the same patience she would have in raising a family, working things out with wisdom, with a man, her husband, who has wisdom. Those are the bedrocks of our community, not just somebody who is shaking their ass, shaking their funky ass. Damn, girl, you shaking that thing. I want to marry you. And you marry into a situation based on ass? Ass, y'all. 2 booty cheeks. Well-rounded, but that has no indication on what's going on inside their head. I'm not getting on the sisters because we're going to bring it around to the brothers too. There's a lot of good dick attached to fools, sister. That thing push up inside of you and you've been yearning for it for a while. And this stink breath, brother, I'm not putting down our brothers. I'm just saying it in a way a lot of times it's the truth. He humping and grounding up on you and you wondering if you change your baby's diaper, which he shouldn't be doing that if your baby's close by. It's him. This man ain't wipe his backside in 3 days. And he all on top of you, got morning breath in the afternoon, grunting and grinding, but because you focused on that thing. That thing, that thing, that thing. Dun, 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 hey, hey. And when it's all over, you're saying, oh my God, I think I'm pregnant. We don't think, y'all. We don't know who we really are. If we did, we wouldn't act the way we do with each other. How about building? How about having a little patience? Seeing beyond. Queen Marat Rogers, thank you so much. And I see another one up here. I wasn't even looking at the chat room. Oh, we got a double thing there. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'm not ignoring the chat room. When I'm zoned out like this, I just like to talk. I'll come back later on. I'm not ignoring you. I'm not ignoring you. But I'm in my feelings right now because I'm seeing some things. We can't bring everybody with us, y'all. Who is it that you're going to have to cut out from your life? Yes, you can speak with them when you run into them on the corner. You can go by their house and, offer your condolences if they took a loss and offer them something to, sustain them in some kind of way. Be friendly. Don't turn your back on them, but you can't let them in your ultimate plans. Because some of us, we can't help ourselves. We can't help ourselves from being envious on the next man or woman when they aspire to get out the barrel. We can't help it. We got little barrels. We got big barrels. We got big barrels where all the people in the barrel look successful and pretty much by the world standards they are. But guess what? Or even on that level, on the highest level, a lot of us have not corrected ourselves. I wish everyone the best. I don't wish anybody anything bad because that's going to come back on me. And I know that. And I'll always big up my father and my mother. But my father told me this, that on the flip side of motivation, it's envy. If you're not motivated by anything that I do, or I'm not motivated by anything that you do in my own way and in your own way, there's a place there for envy. And there is envy. Even if it's undetectable and you don't discover it yet. Sisters, the exact moment you got pregnant, you 9 times out of 10 didn't know if it's a regular thing that you're doing. And then you find out and you confirm it. Lots of times we have people who are with us who we think are ride and die. And we give our whole life to them because we feel as though they're on the right path and they're doing the right thing. And sometimes, like I learned last year, those are some of the most envious and jealous people who all along have been plotting your doom in your face, and you never took it that way because you had the template of righteousness placed over them and your sight was blinded as to what they really were. And those are the ones that hurt the most. But I will say, don't let that damage you. Don't get around them again. And don't let those types around you again. And you say, well, how would I know? Well, you proceed with caution. Years ago, you'd go down south from New York City. I was born and raised in New York City. And you go down south and you go to gas up your car. Well, you gas up your car first back in the day. And then you go pay. You think you can do that in New York City at any time? But slowly but surely, that mindset, thievery, getting over, I ain't paying nothing. Too many folks started pumping the gas and driving off without paying. I remember a friend telling me that the dealership, if you went in to go get a brand new car, they say, hey, take the car, keep it for a week. If you want to keep it for another week, keep it for another week. Do you know what could happen in a situation like that, the way some of us think? It would be a disaster. And it's not for us to clean up everybody. Walk the walk, walk strong, walk in a very assured manner in your blackness, in your mission, in what you're doing. And if they're inspired by the way you walk, they're going to join you in their own way. They might have joined you in a way where it's not going in the same direction, but it's going in the direction where they're ordained to go. And you may not find out for 5 years. Say, brother, I've been watching you. And I like the way you move. You talk the talk, but you're actually doing it. And you know, 5 years ago, it inspired me to change my ways. It inspired me to do better by myself. It inspired me to clean up a little bit better what I eat. It inspired me to get away from certain things. I wasn't ever an alcoholic. This is not me talking. I'm just making this up, right? I wasn't even an alcoholic, but I had drinks a little too much. You know, I really wasn't addicted to porn, but I found myself watching it too much, twisting up my mind how I should see my sisters. But I see how you walk. I didn't know much about you, but it just inspired me because you walk different than any black man that I've ever seen before in my life. Now, see, you didn't go over to that person and say, hey, you need to wake up. No, you were on your way doing what you had to do. And the people who are not doing as they should by themselves, they're going to be confronted. The thoughts are going to hit them. Wow, he's walking like he's going somewhere. We're not talking about a physical geographical destination. We're talking about that higher level that we pursue. We don't know exactly when we're going to go there or arrive, but we know if we sit where we are on the corner, we're never going to get there. Like maggots climbing over each other. And we shouldn't have to be referred to that way, but that's what we emulate. Those brothers and sisters here on the corner in this banner, they're not maggots. We know what they had to deal with, the same stuff we've had to deal with. I always say, especially in America, in the UK, I've never been to the UK, but I've talked to enough people who have told me the similarities. That we are so smashed before we have a chance, before we figure it out what we're fighting against. And then we have the external, and then we have the internal, the self-hate, that the enemy and the oppressor doesn't have to do anything more because it keeps going and going and going like the Energizer Buddy. And by the time we figure this out, we could be in our 30s, we can be in our 40s, we can be in our 50s. Lots of times, if we live that long, we don't figure it out until we're in our 70s. And the sad part about it is we know that there's more behind us than there is ahead of us. And we feel pissed off that we wasted our time with these paper-thin things, way of thinking in the system, aspiring to something that's not going to do anything for us in the subsequent generations that come behind us. And we get that old man anger. And we don't care what we say around anybody because we know the deal in life. But the frustrating part is that many don't listen. See, we didn't have Instagram pages back in the day. Our young brothers do. We didn't have the butt jobs and the plastic surgery. Our young sisters do, and brothers. And so now we're driven by lust. We're driven by greed to want to have more, not knowing that that's not going to fulfill us. And so we have to win. That word meant something back in the day on a different level, but, oh, I'm winning. What do you mean you're winning? Because you walked through the mall and all the men looked at you? You're winning? Winning what? You're deteriorating. Because we should feel the joy of getting better with each and every day incrementally on a character level, on a spiritual level. And we're not just talking it. Anybody who opens their mouth to say, I am spiritual, I am decent, I am this, when they start that I am and you don't see it, if you got to say it, it must not be too good. Just be the damn thing. I've committed to coming out here every day and creating some type of content. And I apologize profusely for the last few days of me not doing anything. But you understood why, and I thank you for that. But it still racked me. I'm like, oh, man, look, I ain't do nothing for 2 days. And I feel like I'm failing. Now, that's the way I've wired myself, and I know I'm not failing. But I aspire to do something that's real. Not this social media foolishness where, hey, look at that. I got more likes than you, and I got more hits than you. My stuff went viral. And then what? How many people did you really touch to motivate, to make a real change and a difference? Go and sit down amongst the people. And I ain't got no problem sitting down on this visual you see in front of you and vibing with the people and seeing where they're at. I've seen some very expensive sports cars and luxury vehicles sitting up in the repair shop because of one little thing that the owner didn't know about. Might have cost only $50 to just put that one part in and you're back working again. That's how I see us. So we can come from any level, from the depths of decadence, and go to the top. Like I said, there's a lot of beautiful people and good people in the hood. Sometimes they need a little direction. So I'm not saying it's hood people, because you can go into any righteous church where you got the church ladies and her husbands driving on up in the luxury cars with the big broad church hats, and they will turn their nose up to you and give you their ass to kiss at the drop of a dime in the name of the Lord. And you can go in the hood and see so much love, even though so many are misdirected. So if you see that you can inspire somebody who, like that sports car, that luxury car, just has one little thing missing. Sometimes it just takes a word or a smile or a gesture, a little bit every day, to make them feel as though they're worthy, and let them know who they really are, so they won't act the way they do with each other. Let them know who they are, that they're made by the best. They talk about, oh, Lord Jesus, that's some white man they put up there. And some are going to say, oh, no, it's not just a whatever. But look, like I always say, he's coming. Well, to me, if I was a boss and I had to wait hundreds of years for him to return to the job, that's a no call, no show. Why can't we do for ourselves while you're waiting for him? I'm not saying that you can't roll with that if you want to roll with that. I'm not here to argue about what people believe in. But if you get together synergistically, a group of you, to accomplish something, we can do for ourselves, and we can find out that we are that proverbial Jesus that we've been waiting for. You wait on the bus stop, the bus don't come. Well, you realize that your feet are the bus after a while, because you're going to stand there and wait all the way to the morning time, or you're going to start walking. It may be a couple miles, but you'll get there. But we got too many divisions on each other. Well, I ain't gonna work with them. He Muslim. He talking about that Allah and Elijah Muhammad. Didn't Muhammad, he was having sex with them? But what about the word that he gave? We all do. Look, I've done some things. I basically told all my stuff on this channel. I ain't got no shame. But you ain't gonna come back and shame me, because I told it already. And if you want to tell it, you ain't gonna tell it better than me, because I can add things in the story that I didn't tell. So we covered that one from early. But you have somebody who's delivering food to you. It is your favorite restaurant. You love this restaurant, but it's pouring down raining. You don't feel like going out, so you call to have your favorite meal delivered. And they know who you are. There's a restaurant out here that as soon as I walk up, you want the same? Yeah, I want the same. I don't even have to ask. It's like snapping my finger. It feels so good, not to act like some oppressive white man, but to be known by your own people, that they know you for who you are and what you like. And we've gotten away from that. But because the person who delivers your food might have been a former crackhead, are you going to reject the food now that he's clean or she's clean? So you talk about Elijah Muhammad, or you talk about a different religion or something you don't believe in, but you have hands there that are ready to work with you for the greater good. And all you can do is think to argue with each other because of the man-made limitations and boundaries. Like I said earlier, oh, I'm Ghanaian and I can't trust you because you're Nigerian. Well, what if there wasn't the line in the sand that said, cross this line and this is who you are? Ain't it the same motherland? Ain't it the same earth? And we're talking about the earth. And those pink parasites that are only 9% of the population got you so jacked up. Well, I'm from the Netherlands. I don't know anything about you Central American Negroes. Oh, I'm from South America. I don't know anything about Africa. We arguing over the boundaries that they set forth. but they're so-called conquerors. There's nothing wrong with being associated with a certain land and you call a certain land a certain thing or you have a certain last name. But in the way the world is right now today, we can't afford that separation. I'm foundational Black American. I'm ADOS. You're African. No, I'm Hebrew Israelite. I'm not ADOS. You're foundational, and they're from them Africans ain't nothing. And everybody else is sitting back and laughing at us. You dumb fools. The whole planet is yours. That's like people living in an apartment building and it's 10 floors. Well, I'm a 10th floor Negro. I'm a 2nd floor Negro. And it's the same plumbing in the whole building, the same electrical in the whole building. The whole building burned down. All of y'all getting killed, dying. So we are so stupid. So if you can't get over that part, I will not work with you. I don't care how black you are and how black you talk on the surface. We got a lot of those. And we have a lot of those who come and talk the black talk to you because they know they can get something out of you. Watch them. Observe them. 2468, they ask. What do I mean by that? 2468. Come on now. You know what's next. 246810. You're not stupid. We're not stupid. And the ones who are trying to rip you off are damn sure not stupid. That's how they live. That's how they live. When a pickpocket goes out early in the morning time for the morning rush and goes out there to pick pockets, I knew 3 guys who picked pockets back in Queens, back in the 90s when I used to drive the dollar van in the street, the gritty streets. Me and my van would get up early in the morning and I knew how to run that road and I knew how to come back with a certain amount of money before noontime, take a break, go back out before the evening rush and ride out into the evening until the evening rush died and come back with hundreds of dollars. That was back then. So I knew how to do that. The dope dealer knows how to do that. The pickpocket knows how to do that. The prostitute knows how to do that. She knows what's coming at her. Oh, he just coming around, driving around, looking to ask me about the price, but he's probably playing with himself. You know who it is. You know what's what. We've lived enough life to know how this world works. So you have to use that same ability to keep the deadbeats away from you who only want to be up under you to benefit from your work and they do nothing. That's why I say you have to check a person's history, their resume, and their trajectory through this life. How in the hell are they going to sit down and not do anything but talk the talk, but have nothing to prove for it? I didn't just pop online the other day. That's why you all are here. It may not be me you want to hear. It might be Mr. Political. It might be anybody else. Segment 7, Miko, could be it, Nika, anybody. But you know that we've been here doing what we do. So while we have our favorites or us as a collective, it's okay. It don't matter which entranceway you get in on the highway, but just get in on the highway and get to where you're going mentally. So if there's something that you can extract to make yourself better, or something you heard, or some reference to another YouTube channel or a site or somewhere that we can share to make us better, bring something to the pot. It don't have to be money. There are things that you share with me that elevate me. I'm like, man, I checked this thing out. This thing is good. But let us come together in a spirit of unity instead of sitting there dormant, waiting to see how we can tear each other down. I'm not, and I refuse with these precious years that I have. I could have never believed that time would move so fast and I find myself at this chronological age, but I have the same spirit. I didn't know as much as I do now, but when I was 15 years old, I had the same spirit, the same feelings, a lot of the same thoughts. They're more advanced now because I have experience from which to draw from. And I know where not to do or what not to do. You know, you have that dog in your backyard. You know where they went to the bathroom. Later on, you got to go up there. You know where not to step. Are you going to step in something? Well, I know what not to do now. There are things that I did that I didn't realize the magnitude of it, not magnitude on a good level, but risky behavior. AIDS was jumping around, and I was jumping around too. Oh, that's just a homo thing. Until I started seeing sisters and brothers dying who weren't in that persuasion of the rainbow. And I'm like, man, I've been protected. You think I want to roll the dice now? I ain't rolling no dice now. I got a work to do. That was then. I have experience in many areas of life, and I'm willing to share it. It doesn't mean I know everything, because all of y'all here in the chat room today can teach me something. I'm not all that. It just has the name LANCESCURV on there, but I'm not saying I'm all that. I've learned so much. That's what makes me better, me vibing with you. We have personal phone calls sometimes, group chats, texting to each other. And it's like, wow, that was profound. And I'm so blessed to have all of you to talk to and to vibe with, because it makes me better. It makes me a better version of myself than I was the day before. But we have to know that we are the original people of this planet, really the only people of this planet who go so far back, as opposed to the Johnny-come-latelys that rule the world now. And why are they ruling the world? It's because we can't rule ourselves. If we really disciplined ourselves and got into the core of who we are and cleansed ourselves of this worldly foolishness that bring us our own conflicts. We all have conflicts, y'all. We all been touched by the cooties of this world. And we think righteous, and sometimes it's a battle. It's a battle. We're not there yet all the way. Maybe we'll never get there, but we can still get better every single day until that bad part is not detectable anymore and not enough to mess up our lives. I am so surprised and so disappointed in many of who I know. I'm not saying anybody here, that they can carry on like grown children while talking so righteous, fraudulent to the world, and they don't know it. So disappointed. I don't want that kind of disappointment in my life anymore. And I surely don't want to disappoint anyone else. I've come too far. I've stacked up my dominoes all the way around the bend. And see, sometimes people come and hit it for you when you weren't ready, knock down all you built up. But I'm still here. And I'm still for you, and I still love you. And of course, I love me. And it doesn't mean I'm a narcissist because I love me. I have to love me to be able to love you. You have to be able to love you in order to love me. The appreciation. Because many of us who are on the same level as Black people, stolen Africans, melanated people, whatever you want to call it, we can meet each other. And we're not talking on some romantic sexual level, but we can meet each other and immediately know within moments that we have similar experiences and we've walked along some of the same roads. Because you can't talk a certain way unless you had certain experiences. I always use this analogy. One doctor meets another doctor in the same area of practice, at a party, at a social event, and they get introduced. If one of those doctors were a fraud, the other doctor would know. Because when two doctors talk that know what they know, they can go deep. And if you can't go deep in what you're saying, claiming to know something, you can fool the masses, but you can't fool that other doctor. It could be two mechanics. They could be two chefs. But you know when you see a fraud. Just the other day, there was a guy bopping down the street. He had a New York hat on, New York Yankees logo on. I said, hey, man, what part of New York you from? Oh, I'm from Queens. I got him now. I'm from Queens. I knew he wasn't from. And I kind of changed my accent to not sounding like a New York accent. And we went in detail. And then I hit him with it. I said, man, I grew up in Queens. That place didn't exist that you're talking about. He starts laughing. But imagine, there are many people who are all over who, oh, you're from New York? It used to be like that back in the day. Now it's not as much of a thing in the younger generations. And so guys would go down south in Virginia and South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Yeah, sweetheart, I'm from New York City. Oh my God, he's from New York. He's a city boy. And that always afforded you certain amenities just on the word of that. If you knew how to word your words, we won't go there. So we have a lot of frauds amongst us who talk a certain way and who try to bedazzle us, to try to hitch on to our dream and our vision and our drive for their purpose. You see, you're designed in a specific way for a certain purpose. Like I always say with the tools in the toolbox, we're all special tools for the purpose of building our community and building our world. One tool can't do the job of the other tool. Some tools are multi-purpose. Some of us can do several things. Some of us can do one thing real good. It's okay wherever you fall along the spectrum of that. We can't get envious of that. And there's some of us as tools that never get used. Not because the owner of the toolbox doesn't like us, but he hasn't found use for us yet because there hasn't been the challenge of having to use us as that tool, but we're just as valuable. But you can be rest assured when it's time for you to be called out of that toolbox because of the specific purpose that you're made for, that no other tool can do. The hammer can't do what the screwdriver does. The circular saw can't do what the power drill does. If you try to mix them that way, you're going to have a disaster. But understand that you're a special tool, and every tool is not called out on every building job. You may not rise to greatness until another 9 years. It may be 9 days. It might be 19 years. And you walking around with this purpose and you don't know it because you're following behind something else that's not made to develop us in this Eurocentric mindset. So the quicker we get out of that and strip all of the stuff that we learned and the false things that we were taught and the things that the movies made us want to emulate and all this stuff that is not our culture. We're following behind the rhythm of a false culture. When they make a black movie these days, really there's not much black stuff in there. Ain't no real African stuff in there. And when I say African, it doesn't mean just motherland, but our lineage. Come on now. You take a chicken and dump him in a fish tank, and he's sitting there floating on top of the fish tank. Is he a fish now? No, he's still a chicken. And many of us who are black people and stolen Africans say, I ain't got nothing to do with Africa over there. Yes, you do, but you just too stupid to know it. And so we're cross-dressers now. We're that dude who don't want to be a dude. He want to be a woman. He dresses up like a woman. So we don't want to be African. So we want to dress and make up names and call ourselves something else, but we're still connected because the oppressor knows who you are. He would have taught you were something different in his schools of oppression. That would have helped him out more because you'd be a warring faction from back then. But we keep it going. The more knowledge that gets out there is the more ignorance that's tossed back at us to confuse us from knowing our root. Once we know our root and come up from the root to know that the slave ship just dropped us off here and there and we were all over the planet before slavery, that's the argument of the others. We know that. But that's a long time ago and it's always been. Wherever we are, wherever there is a place, we are there. I didn't know there was so many black folks in the Ukraine until I started seeing news within the last few days. I'm like, God, I put a post up in the community section, a black person in the Ukraine. I was ignorant to that. There are black folks in Russia, look, anywhere in the world. And you test them too. You know, the brothers, they pick up the chin real quick. Hey, what's up, man? They lift their head up real quick. Hey, what's up? And they'll do it right back. They may say it in a different language. Oh, what's up? Black folks all over the place. And we are strategically placed. We can never be destroyed. We got the biggest crew on the planet, y'all, and we can't get it together because we don't know that we're all connected. We want to fight over a difference to let the slave master know I'm different from the rest. And he's laughing. He's laughing. He's laughing at all of us. who try to copy him, knowing that what we're trying to copy of him is something that is so far reduced. Beating their women coming out the caves, eating raw meat. That's what you want? Don't know how to set up proper toiletry, crapping all over the place, disease, screwing your sisters, screwing your daddies, screwing your mama, screwing all this crazy stuff that they do. Confused as to who they are. Or they know who they are, but they're confused walking around. While we knew who we were, and some of us know who we are, but there's far too less. There's not enough. And like I say, those of us who know, those of us who are about doing what must be done, we have to move forward and walk the walk. And those who are inspired by our walk, who may not know exactly what we do, but they know that there's a different vibration, that you just ain't like another regular sister in the hood. You carry yourself with self-respect. You might burn at night for a little something at night, just like anybody else, but you're not lowering your standards. Brothers, you see all those women who the world call hood rats, they got some shapes on them too. But you cannot lay down with somebody and expect to come up with something on a level that you can build with, because that's all it's going to be. And after you eject a little nut butter and crotch sauce, then what do you have? A soul tie with something that's vibrating so low. I hate to say it that way, but I'm not putting down all of us. But after a while, we have to be accountable. We have to have accountability for what we put out there to the world, the energy that we put out there to the world. We can't keep using black as an excuse. Well, you know, slavery. So we know what that has set forth in motion. But now we've got to stop and put the pedal to the metal as far as pressing down on the brake. You mean to tell me you so dumb that you driving 90 miles an hour toward a brick wall and you don't have the sense to put your foot on the brake and try to turn away from the wall if you don't have enough braking space? We know our trajectory if it was going to go on in an ignorant way. We know where it's going to take us. But are we going to allow that now? There's enough knowledge out here now that some of us like the decadence. Some of us like the sickness. Some of us like the twisted minds that we have. We like the Jerry Springer lifestyle. We love it. The Maury Povich lifestyle. You are not the father. You are the father. And it's entertainment. And don't you think other people who don't want to be bothered with you watch the television set on what they put out there about us, which is not always the truth? And we've embraced it where we take it as truth and we know better than that. They watch these shows and they come on the jobs and address you all kind of ways and you thinking that you're getting some favor from them. And you're validating what they see, which is not the overall truth at our worst. They put that out there. And you won't even carry yourself in a way to negate what they put out. They love to see that. And they love to make fun of it. You want a job at customer service doing something in a store, and you got some black folks arguing amongst themselves on something stupid that looked just like something off of Jerry Springer. And the white folks, you see, did you see what they said? Yeah, girl, nigga, you better, you ain't working, nigga. You on the couch all day. But what about Billy Bob and your inbred selves? And it didn't just happen in West Virginia. It's been all over Europe. What about your history? Your sick history. It rubbed off on us. Yes, some of us it rubbed off on. And we perpetuate it out of our ignorance. But they don't tell their stuff. No, they don't tell their stuff. What about the man named Yankel? Or Frankie? I think Frankie Yankel or whatever his name was. When I was driving a dollar van, he used to come up to Sutphen Boulevard, a block below Jamaica Avenue by the fish market, and stand there every Sunday for about 5 weeks until he walked up to me. I was out there working, I'd leave, I'd come back, drive down a load of people and come back. And he felt I was the safest Negro, but I didn't know what was up. He came over to me. I'm like, what the hell? This guy's over here scoping. I had to knock the taste out of his mouth. He was a Hasidic Jew. And he wanted me to drive him around to different adult establishments and drive him up to Spring Valley, where it's a Jewish community up there, Spring Valley, New York. You had to go over the George Washington Bridge into Jersey and then go north, because Jersey and New York, it's one landmass, but it's an artificial boundary, and that was the best way to get up there. And he'd go in there and get his jollies off and come on out. I'm like, look at this. $500, it wasn't bad for a couple hours of work. But they put themselves up as being above you. But they got just as much decadence going on, but they're secretive about it. They cover it. See, we just blast our dirt all out in the street. Yeah, I had 5 women this weekend. Boy, I hit them hoes good too. Man, we got airfed up, man. We got some weed, man. I popped that Viagra, man. I was tearing that ass up. Really? Really, Otis? Hey, Lamont, come over here. You like that? And we just portray ourselves as though sexual beast, that is some kind of accomplishment where we dip our wick into the next woman's wax. And we come and blab it out. And they know, as long as we're on that level, treating our sisters that way, seeing our sisters as just an object of pleasure, man, you got to earn that pleasure. Man, that is some immense pleasure. Oh my God. You can be scheduled to go to the firing squad the next morning, but you get that pleasure that you earn from being a righteous man, you won't even think about it. You'll already be in heaven. Oh, if heaven's like this, come on and shoot me. You know what I mean? But we roll along with what their narratives. They took our culture away from us and replaced it with something else. Hip hop culture. And whatever they put up there now, they turned it around for men now not to even be men. They turned it around. We know there's certain factions of our community that roll with the rainbow. But it really, really wasn't like that en masse. They're seasoning our mind to be a certain way so we can continue to self-destruct. I will have no part of it, and I will always call it out. I'm going to always call it out. I've always been that kind of person. I don't care what the world thinks or certain people have them fooled. If I see it, I'm going to call it out. Call me a nutcase, call me whatever, but in a couple of months, a couple of years, you'll be like, I see it. Just like Mrs. SCURV. There's a lot of people who call themselves her friend. I'm not saying here online, but in real life. Now she sees what the hustle is. She still talks to them and acts the same way, but now she knows. And we got to really look to those around us who are aware, who are thinking, who are cognizant on what's going on. We need those kind of people around us because they will see sometimes and oftentimes what we don't see. And I just want to say I'm going to move on and do some more stuff here. I got to make some runs. I'm going to hit the rooftop before the sun goes down. I'm going to record some things. I may do a little walk out there with my little camera and stuff like that. I haven't been looking at the chat room. When I do the reality check live like that, I just want to zone out and just talk. When I play the music, I'm going to say hi to everybody, but I just want to say salute to the brothers. Much love to the sisters. Keep holding it down. You can't carry everybody with you. There are some of us who are blind, deaf and dumb, who we love dearly, but they just don't get it and don't want to get it. For those who just don't get it, there's hope. But for those who don't want to get it, you got to leave them. You got to move at your own pace. This is why you have multiple lanes on the highway. If you want to go in a slow lane and go slow, that's your prerogative. But if I can move a little faster toward my goals and my visions, that's my right. Because we don't know when we're leaving out of here. Just the other day, we were spending time with my father-in-law, and he's gone now. He's transitioned. It's not a bad thing. Don't accept life if you can't accept the transition. Our energies will unite again on a fuller level, and they're still connected even right now. I'm still connected with my mother and my father. I just hope my older brother gets his life together and gets out of drugs so we can all be connected on a righteous level. Brilliant brother. I love him. I think about him and send him positive energy every single day, but it hurts my heart because he can do so much more than I can with the brilliance that he has. I acknowledge that. He can get on this podcast and talking the way you're like, yo, I don't want to hear from SCURV no more. We want to hear from Brother Divine. That's what he calls himself, Divine. Government name Gary. But that's just the way life is. The best fighters in the world that you see all through history are not really the best fighters. There are other fighters out there that had more talent and ability. They may not have had the mind to have the discipline to train. They're brilliant mathematicians in the hood selling drugs who can be CEOs over these big companies that we think the big people, white folks that are there, that they're the epitome. No, there's some dude in the hood who just didn't have the opportunity and the mindset. It's not his fault. But don't tell me we can't run the world when we ran the world before. And we're going to run it again. But we can't run it with subpar mentality people who don't want to go higher. It takes discipline to go higher. It takes hard work to go higher. You have to have a single-mindedness in your purpose in life. When you wake up, you pretty much know what it is that you want and have to do for that day. And you're going to be relentless with it. You're not going to see greatness if you're lackadaisical with, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll so and so and so. It tore me up the days that I couldn't do what I had to do online. And this is not the only thing I do in life. But this is something I've committed to. So what are you committed to? I'm not challenging you in the chat. I'm just saying, think to yourself, what is it that you're committed to? You committed to gossip? You committed to some low vibration achievement? Some narcissistic achievement? I'm cyber famous. I don't care about that. I love the fact that I can reach and talk to so many people. But in my mind, I always had it going on. I never had that need, that pseudo need that can be snatched away from you. The day they take YouTube away, I'm going to be laughing. I said it abominably. I'm going to be laughing because there's going to be so many butthurt people who realize that what they were aspiring to, this kind of fame on social media, was only an illusion. Use it for something of purpose. Malcolm X didn't have a YouTube page. Malcolm X didn't have a Facebook or an Instagram. Malcolm X did it the hard way. In your face, talking to you, sometimes getting on a TV program that wasn't fitted to make him look good, and he still smashed them. But his work was amongst the people, person by person. Sometimes he'd go over there on 125th Street in front of that bookstore and talk. My physical ears heard him as a little baby in a stroller before he was assassinated. That's what I'm told. And I'm proud of that because I remember not that, but years after, his presence and the presence of others, not just him, was still there floating in Harlem and Washington Heights in the late 60s, early 70s. It doesn't go away that quick. So it's a legacy and a lineage. They didn't have social media. They gave us this so we can blurt out everything we feel, and they record it and know who we are and know all about us, and then slowly tighten it up where we can't say what we really want to say. Boy, they slick. And they took about 20 years to do it. 911, smartphone by itself, internet by itself. They clashed together like the Reese's peanut butter cup commercial. You got your chocolate in my peanut butter. I got my peanut butter in your chocolate. And something new was invented. Well, you got that smartphone and the internet. And you got that internet in the smartphone. Now you don't have to rush home. How many of y'all remember rushing home to check your emails? You couldn't check your emails nowhere else. You had to get home to do that. You ain't got to do that now. You just flip your phone and just open it and check and text and FaceTime, and everything is in live time. And we started telling all our stuff. In the beginning, I ain't going to tell nobody my business. But here you are sitting up in your drawers in a dirty room behind you. You're just telling how nasty you are. Or showing off what you got and people seeing it. And they knew that we'd be like maggots on each other and start hating each other and being preoccupied with the next door neighbor, the ex-girlfriend, the ex-boyfriend, who they with, where they going. Or I see your man done moved to Ghana. Well, he ain't my man now. You know, we was dating a long time ago. I think we had sex like 5 times. Well, that ain't your man then. Why are you on him like that? You see what I mean? We got preoccupied with things while other people built and strived. And we sitting here, I got over 1 million people following me on Instagram. Is it paying you? And when it pays you, what do you do with it? You take it right on to the other people to look more like a peacock. More like a peacock. And they laughing with your money in their pockets, and you ain't got jack to show for it except following behind a fad, waving your tail. Yeah, girl, you know, if I put this thing on you, come on now. Is that real power? Yeah, we have life force and we have a sexual energy about us above and beyond. Yes, we have. But if that's all we have, that ain't going to secure a community. That's not going to build us up. That's not going to educate us to know and have deep knowledge and to know how to use the knowledge and what our position is in our society. That's not teaching us that we can make a girl come 5 times. Well, she can go 5 times too and leave your ass. What is that? That ain't brownie points that you know how to eat coochie so good. There's nothing in that. Because when you ain't got no money to pay the bill, what? That ain't, well, back in 1994, he turned this girl out and we're going to give you a $500 allotment towards your next bill because you're a classic coochie eater. I got to call you one time and you got to give me some lessons because I think my wife is straying a bit. It don't work that way. Anyway, I said bye already. I don't know. I'm kind of ranting off. Let me get up on out of here. I want to come back live later on. I want to create some little short content, like little 10-minute stuff, and I want to hit the rooftop before the sun goes out. And I got to hit the mall and take care of some stuff. So I got a full thing going on today, but like I said, we're going to do it. And thank you so much again for your condolences. And thank you for riding with me and having a little patience. And I'll always love you and be here with you. And I'll never turn my back on you, even if I have to spank you sometime. And if you need to, you can spank me. I ain't into no S&M, but correct me with truth, if you know what I mean. Thank you all so much. Much love. I love you all too. Yes, yes.
I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm trying to do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Oh, yes, sir. I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they say. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Can't be a real nigga, might get you canceled. Fuck the whole system, need the shit dismantled. dismantle. Copper Street, a nigga like the utmost wanted. Tryna rule the block, but don't know what goes on it. News got a story with a new take on me. Carrying out the window with the screw face on me. But I know that God love me when my blunt burn. 95 degrees and I can't get sunburned. Wonder when your government will make me legal. Burn the whole city if I can't be equal. Get off my dick, please, Brad, I earned that. 400 years, how you still ain't learned? I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm tryna do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes, sir. I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they say. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Shout out to the crackers trying to gentrify the genre. Tell them free my niggas, middle finger to your honor. In the days coming down the seconds on the timer. Goofy niggas still trying to purchase that designer. About to buy a child but learn to grow my own food. Cause I don't like the look they give me in the Whole Foods. And when you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. But it ain't on me now, I'm limping cause my dick heavy. But ain't shit sweet, niggas think we thin. My whole attitude on MC Ren. It's my neighborhood now, Bob, I bought that. 400 years, how you still ain't caught that? I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm tryna do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes, sir. I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they say. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out.
Why are we called Negroes? Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind? Why is everybody making progress, yet we seem to be lagging so far behind? Why are we mistreated? Why are we in this condition? Stripped of our name, our language, our culture, our God, and our religion. Here in America, all of our religious training has been gotten by the preacher. He has told us of a heaven way up in the sky that we can't enjoy now, but rather after we die. But all of the years that we're living, for us is nothing but hell, pain, torture, and misgiving. Yet the Bible speaks of a heaven filled with material luxury, which the white man and the preacher has right here, so we see. So, my friend, take it for what it's worth. Your heaven and your hell is right here on this earth. So let's check back into history, which rewards all research and tells us plainly that before the white man gained entry to the East, he was living in the caves of Europe, a ravenous beast, eating juniper roots and eating flesh raw, till God sent Moses to civilize him and teach him the law. Then, following Marco Polo, an explorer, he gained entry into Asia and Africa. From China, he took silk and gunpowder. From India, he took jute, manganese, and rubber. He raped Africa of her diamonds and her gold. From the Mideast, he took barrels of oil untold, raping, robbing, and murdering everything in his path. The whole black world has tasted of the white man's wrath. So, my my friend, it's not hard to tell. A white man's heaven is a black man's hell. Before we came to America, we were living in the East. By the Nile River, we were living in luxury, enjoying freedom, justice, and equality. We wore silken robes, slippers of gold. We were the wealthiest and the wisest people, I'm told. Now we are the poorest of the poor. Nobody wants us at their door. So, my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven, black man hell. When the white man came to America, he told the Indian, I am your white brother. He said, red man, I'll treat you the best. Yet and still he pushed the Indian further west with his white woman and fire water. Tricks and lies, he stole America. The original owner of this nation is cooped up on a reservation. So, my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven, black man hell. He needed someone to work the land. His back was too weak. He needed you, black man, so he commissioned Sir John Hawkins to commit the worst, most grievous sin, to take a man who's born to be free and bring him down to slavery, to sell a man as merchandise, on his body put a price. Oh, my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven is a black man hell.